How's it going? We're going to talk about understanding yourself and kind of what it has to do with being a creative genius. So, that's such an interesting question. You know, we live our whole lives inside of ourselves, but without work and going inside ourselves, we don't know ourselves. It sounds like a riddle from some Chinese book or something. But to understand yourself is true wisdom. We think we understand others when we don't even understand ourselves, and you can't understand others unless you understand yourself. You have to have an idea of who you are, what you stand for, or else you will stand for nothing and you will be no one. All these riddles. So, let's just think about it. There's a lot of Freud, going through my mind about our childhoods and how that makes us. And in some cases it is, but it's almost better to not be that, not let our childhood be a building block for who we are, because let's be honest, like, some people had a perfect childhood, but it's pretty rare. Like, it's growing is pain. Like, everything that we did as a kid is not what we are now necessarily. There are bits and pieces, and one part of understanding who we are is to think about our childhood and then to let it go and just cast that out the window, because you are whoever you want to be in this moment. I don't like the idea of being like a bunch of layers stacked on top of each other that you can't go back. I believe if you have a true open mind, and if you're constantly learning, then you are whatever you're working on and whatever you're learning and whatever you're thinking about at this exact moment. That being said, we do all have things that we're better at, and talent, is a thing. I mean, I'm really more a fan of hard work. I'm living proof of hard work. I wasn't necessarily like a artist. I guess I kind of was. I drew, and I really always loved music, but I wasn't a sculptor until I was like 24 or something like that. And now I'm a very professional sculptor. Check out thewoodcarvers.com. But in order to understand ourselves, we have to take a look inside ourselves and be honest with ourselves and not listen to as much of the outside world as we think. Take it with a grain of salt. That being said, I'm going to contradict myself now. Okay, so to understand yourself, it's first kind of important to see or hear what people that have been around you your whole life say about you. So ask your parents, not necessarily like, who am I? But ask them what you were like as a kid. How did you interact with people? Were you an introvert or an extrovert? What were you innately drawn to? Like, did you always care? Like, did you like animals, or did you really like technology? Because it just really goes back to your own theory on your own life. I don't feel like I grew up until I turned into a little shit. Like, I was a great kid until about 13, and then I was a horrible, horrible person until I was about 18, and then I joined the Army. And then the Army really kicked my ass and taught me, I was pushed to the very limit of my existence. I almost died. And that's really where I felt like I kind of started living. It's kind of ironic. But I still didn't learn my lesson from almost dying. I just learned how much I could go through. I reached the epitome of the bottom of my life. I absolutely was almost dead, and I had nothing. And from there, I rebuilt myself. And I feel like that is a theme in a lot of people's lives. And that's also why I feel like whatever you rebuild yourself, or whatever you're constantly building yourself into, is who you really are. Because we can always rebuild. We can always start over. A lot of people in insane asylums are there because they can't get what they want out of the real world, so they create fantasy worlds where they can have what they want, or they can be in a place where they exist in the way they want to, as opposed to living in a world that they don't want to. But to understand yourself is to understand what you're building into. So I guess the real thing I'm like battling with is like, there's yourself, and then there's what you do every day and what you should be doing every day. So there's the obvious things people should be doing every day, which is you should be a person that takes care of yourself, and you should be a person who is loving to people in your life, and you should be a person who works hard. And someone who's learning new things constantly. So if you want to understand yourself, understand the people around you and how you can love them better. Understand what you want to learn and how you can learn that stuff better. Understand how you can take care of your body and how you can take care of your health better. And then you can build from there. If you just were going to write down your goals or your life about who you are, make sure you don't write down I want. Make sure you write down I will become a doctor. I will become someone people respect. I will become an entrepreneur. And then you break that down. I will become an entrepreneur by starting a sales team or teaching something. So to understand yourself is to be able to look inside and listen to yourself. So being in the now is very important, because when you're in the now, you can truly see that you can be anything you want, and that the universe and your environment, they all can try to affect you, but you don't have to let them affect you. We all can just be blank pieces of clay, and then we can all mold ourselves to be whatever we want to be. Now, the problem is we're so bombarded with false claims and lies about who we should be that we get confused with who we are. We're always judging ourselves compared to the pictures we see on TV and on our phone, when in reality that might not bring anyone happiness. But if you do find happiness, then you are truly lucky, and you can truly know yourself because you know that this brings you happiness, right? So maybe just start with the things that bring you bliss, like blueberries. No, but I do like blueberries. But it's good to know the things you like, because, and almost more importantly, it's good to know the things you don't like. I don't like people that are dicks. So I avoid them, and I don't have to deal with them. I just walk away. But there's also, so it's important to first know what you do like, and then double down on that, and also know what you like doing and triple down on that. And bliss, man, bliss and happiness is what life's about. It's not about money anymore. That's the old way of thinking, like 1950s type shit, where if you don't have any money, you're gonna die. We live in a new world, and you still need money, but you can make money by being creative and doing what you love, and then showing other people what you love to do, and it creates a cycle, because you always get your money from somebody else. And so many people in the world are miserable. So if you show them your bliss and you give them a little bit of bliss, they'll probably be able to give you some worthless money for that. That's just the truth. So understanding yourself is understanding what you don't like and understanding what you do like. And then how you truly understand yourself is you stop doing what you don't like and you start doing what you do like. And just try it. Try not going to your shitty job and actually working on something you love. Especially if it's an intelligent thing to do. If it's a risk, save up some money and do it. So I always say immediate intelligent action. So if you have been inspired by any of my videos to do something, I say you immediately start doing it. And then watch yourself how you do things. Understand yourself how you learn. Understand how you act, how you do things, your quirky aneurysms, the food that you feel, and the time that you feel yourself wanting food. So many people drink when they're not thirsty. So many people eat when they're not hungry, or they overeat because they can't tell that they're full. So much goes into being aware, and so many people need to be more connected to themselves. So how do you connect more with yourself? I mean, the only real things that I've found that actually do this is like yoga, meditation, long walks, talks with friends, those real talks, not the bullshit fluff where you can actually express yourself. And you'll find yourself just saying things, that you actually are true to you. The problem is, as soon as you say it, you probably forget it, which is why journaling is another way. If you just journal every day, you'll really start to get more of a grasp on your life about who you are and how you think and how you feel and what you should do with your life. That's always the big question, right? Should I go to college, or should I go live in a van by the river? I can't answer that for you. But what I can tell you is that you need to experiment. And life is just a big experiment. Can't be afraid to lose, and you should always, always just be doing what you love. Now, does doing what you love pay the bills? No. Not all the time. It should. If you're creative enough, which is why we're doing these courses, you should be able to monetize doing what you love. I mean, I know how to do it, and I'm trying to teach you how to do that. But the truth is, you're going to get paid a lot more money for something that you like doing and that you can get paid to do, and more than just doing something that you love, and hoping that you get paid. So let me explain. You're going to probably have to do a lot of repetitive action to get really good to the point where people are going to pay you for a skill. So the thing that you do to pay your bills and make your living should be something that you like doing, not necessarily something that you love doing. Because if it's something that you love doing and you do it every day repetitively to pay your bills, you're going to stop loving that thing. So it's better to have something that you like doing and something that you're good at. Okay? And then you just are able to grind it out, and then you have moments where you're very happy and that it's very fruitful, and then you can go and do what you truly love once you're done with your repetitive business or work that you like doing, if that makes sense. And when you're building a business, you should always outsource the stuff that you don't like doing. That's just common sense, and you should work on the things that you do like doing. Not common sense, but that's just how you do a good business. I mean, a real problem, I believe, with society is that we don't look inside enough to find out who we are. we tend to try and look outside, which is ass backwards. And I guess a lot of people may not know how to look inside. And it's not exciting. It's not gonna happen right away. But when you meditate, or when you just stop thinking and you can truly figure out how to control your mind, and you, like when you how you do it is you flatline your thoughts. Okay, you just listen to the silence of the world. Put some earplugs in and put an eye mask on, and you're gonna start seeing how your brain works, because your brain is gonna throw ideas at you constantly. It's going to, and these ideas are gonna come into your head, but instead of interacting with them, you're just gonna let them go like a cloud, you know. So they're gonna come in, and then you're just gonna let them go. You're not gonna respond. You know, that's one of my favorite things about habits of highly effective people, is the stimulus and response. Okay, and that's where you live. You live in that teeny nanosecond between stimulus and response. That's you. That's all you are. What do I mean by that? So, I'm looking for a tennis ball, but I don't have one. So, the stimulus, when things happen outside of our control, and then there's that pause, and then there's our response. You are that pause, okay? So, if I know who I am, and there's a blueberry, I'm going to eat it. That's bad metaphor, but it's a choice though. I don't have to. I can just leave it there, but I know that I enjoy that. So that is going to be my response. But I don't have to have that response. I don't have to do anything. But when you meditate and you go inside, you understand that you have that choice to respond to the world how you want to respond to it. And that's how you truly begin to understand who you are. Okay? And that's being self-aware, that's being mindful. And I want to try and drill this point in a little more about the stimulus and response, because I think it's just amazing to really think about. So, shit happens, right? And we can't necessarily control what happens, but we can control how we respond to what happens. And it's not like what you think. It's so much deeper on so many levels. There's so many nuances about us reacting. Now, no matter what, we have the fight or flight part of our brain that can react without our control, but I think that can even be controlled, you know. Now, we make choices every moment of every day, and that is our willpower to do that. Like, I'm going to choose to take a drink of this coffee, but it's bulletproof. That's why it's got the weird shit on it. But I chose to drink that, but I could have also just chosen to pour it out, but I'm inside my house and I don't want to do that. But we have that choice. We have that pause to respond, to not respond, and to not respond to responding or something. But that is really how you begin to understand yourself. See, if you're like it came from, I think his name is like Dr. Frankel or something like that, and he was in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany, and they had beaten him. His whole family had died. He had no clothes. He was naked, and he had absolutely nothing. But then he had this great insight that he realized that you cannot take my choice or how I respond away from me. And that's where you find true inner peace, is when you take control of that pause, of that self-awareness, of that moment between your responses to life. So, if you understand what I'm saying, which I hope you do, once you can see how you want to respond to things, then you can see who you truly are. And this takes a lot of practice, I'd say, and self-awareness, and being able to take a step back from situations. Next time you get really angry, think about this. Think about the pause and how you respond to things, because, like I said, shit happens. But you don't have to act like shit when shit happens. You can be a Zen monk. You can also just fly off the handle. You have that choice. But to be able to understand yourself is to know how you want to respond to that. So, if you want to be a loving person, in every situation, you can respond in a loving manner. And that is true power. And that is true control. More than anything else in this world. And that's how you understand yourself. So, I'm going to try and sum all this shit up. So, yes, we are first molded by our family and our environment growing up. So, it's important to understand who we were when we were growing up. And it's important to get a overall look from the outside on what we were doing, what we enjoyed, and who we were when we were young. And then it's also important to see the phase of life that we're in, and then also to see, like, for me, like I said, I completely burned my life to the ground, and then I rebuilt it. And it's important to see who we were before that, and then who we are now, and how we've rebuilt ourselves, and how we can also rebuild ourselves more going into the future. And it's important to know your bliss, what makes you happy, and almost more importantly, it's important to know what you don't like, and what is not your bliss, what is not your jam. And it's important to double down on what you love, and it's important to like what you do for your work, because this is your only life. This is your only moment on this planet, in this time, right now. And then it's important to gain full control by being aware and by being yourself and in the moment, and understanding that you are that pause, that small break between the stimulus and the response of the universe. And that is you. And how you respond within that pause is how you understand yourself. And that's how you understand yourself. And that's a puppy in the background. Love, peace, take it easy. Understand yourself.